All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for a CDBG webinar about our Blueprint to Build program. I appreciate everyone who decided to jump on. Looks like we had over 70 people registered, so it looks like we have a good amount of interest in this program. Some of you may have already seen a presentation similar to this in the past. If you have, there's definitely some new information in this PowerPoint that wasn't in previous PowerPoints. That will be of interest to you. So very quickly, my name is Andrew Heyman. I am the CDBG director. I am joined by Jason Teal, Tim Parks, and Ann Zeitz behind me. You can go next slide. We are also at the end of this, at the end of my presentation, we'll be joined by two members from Hutton who were our design team who designed the prototypes for this Blueprint to Build program. Towards the end of this, they will come off mute and be able to answer any questions that you have. Again, we can answer questions, they can answer questions, depending on what type of question you all have. I would encourage people that if you have questions about what we're presenting on as we go through this, please type in the question in the chat, and then we will get to all of the questions before the end of the presentation. My presentation should last between 20 minutes or so, and then we'll have time to open up for discussion for the rest of the hour. All right. One quick announcement before we jump into the agenda. We've been scheduling, we have office hours that are open for all projects and programs. Anyone who's interested in any of our programs, we're offering office hours where we just sit in a room, we wait for people to ask us questions. Every 2 weeks right now, our next office hours is June 30th from 3 to 4 p.m. So for some reason, if you're a community that likes the idea of this program, but potentially has questions before they go, to their next, to the next level, June 30th from 3 to 4 p.m. would be a great time to touch base with us on follow-up questions that come up after this. There's a Zoom link there where you can pre-register. Once this webinar is over, we will send the slides to every single person who registered by the end of the day. So you will have the slides from this presentation by the end of this day, okay? All right, so today's agenda, we're going to be talking specifically about the Blueprint to Build program. A lot of our eligibility for this program is very similar to our community facilities program. So we're just going to briefly talk about the purpose of the program, who's eligible, what's the national objective, some of the CDBG basics. Then we're going to jump into what we're calling project phases. So we have 3 phases of this project. The first phase we've really already completed, which is creating these prototype designs with Hutton. We'll talk about the next 2 phases during that section. And then, like I said, at the end, open Q&A with Hutton and for our CDBG staff members. If for some reason we don't have a great answer for you, or it's a little bit more of a nuanced question, we'll get back with that answer and we'll get those answers out to everyone. So that's the importance of getting the questions in the chat, so then we can go back, type up those questions and send the answers to people. All right, let's go. All right, so what was just real quick, want to go over the purpose of this program. A lot of you know what CDBG is. It's a community development block grant program. We typically do water and sewer projects and community facilities projects. This program falls under our community facilities umbrella. It's just an innovative approach to community facilities. So this Blueprint to Build program offers a suite of pre-designed community center plans, really 3 designs, but 2 of the designs have sort of an A and B option, so kind of 5, developed with small cities and rural counties in mind. We want to help reduce planning time, save costs, and make it easier to launch these community-driven projects. The end goal being vibrant community spaces in walkable central locations for low and moderate income communities. Because we're CDBG, this program's definitely always going to have to serve a low and moderate community as their national objective, which we'll touch on. Again, we offer 3 pre-designed modern energy efficiency blueprints. 50% of these designs essentially have already been paid for and designed with CDBG funds. We worked with Hutton, who I introduced in a previous slide. They were selected through a competitive request for proposals process to provide A&D design services for the 3 prototypes. The plans offered are a starting point, but communities will need to engage with their own architects or engineers to bring this to fruition. We'll get into that as we get into the phases. Again, blueprint to build. Just generally what's included in these blueprints or what these community centers could provide. Flexible event space for parties, weddings, and reunions. Meeting rooms for local organizations and businesses, but not government meetings. Everyone from CDBG knows that. Kitchen space for cooking classes or fundraisers. Wi-Fi for school or public use. Covered patios with overhead doors, perfect for farmers markets. Safe, accessible spaces for youth, seniors, and all ages. If you go the basketball court route, there's room for a basketball court, but within every design, there is room for a fitness or exercise space as well. So those are a lot of the general components that are in all the designs to serve these communities. Next. So available funding, as I said in the registration email, we have $14 million available. 2.5 million if you're above 2,500, 1.5 million if you're below 2,500 population. The match, because these projects are so costly, match is going to be required. It's always going to be more than 50% of the grant request just due to the cost of these buildings. If you're interested in this program though, and match is one of the is a concern for you, please reach out or send me an email and let me know what your community is, what you're looking for, why you can't find match, and we'll try at the state level to help and see what we can do to get as many of these built as possible. All right. Process timeline, B2B, blueprint to build. That's our short way of saying it. The applications are open currently. The application final due date is November 14th, and we announce these awards monthly. This is the same process timeline for all of our other CDBG programs as well, so you should be familiar with that. Eligibility. So as I said, this program falls under our community facilities category. Because these are not going to be limited clientele, like only serving seniors or only serving another group, all citizens are going to be, attending or participating in this community center. So all applicants will certify as low and moderate income benefit using either census data or a target area survey. I will provide a full Excel list for Jason to share with everyone on this call that shows all LMI cities and counties above, let's say 45%, because that way those communities know when they can, who needs to survey. But a lot of you may be census qualified already, 51%. I know a few off the top of my head, like Pittsburgh, Ulysses, just a few of you. If you're close and you need to survey, we can find you the tools and the help to get those surveys completed. So if you think you're close, like 47%, 48%, absolutely reach out to us. Let's see what we can do to get your projects across the finish line. Another thing on eligibility, just a reminder, Kansas City, Lawrence, Leavenworth, Manhattan, Overland Park, Topeka, Wichita, and all of Johnson County will not be eligible for this program. Something like Wichita is a great example. Wichita proper, not eligible, but if you're in that Sedgwick County area, but not in Wichita, potentially you could be eligible. And I think the same thing applies to Topeka and Shawnee County. Yeah, that's good. All right. So eligible uses of funds, couple things we want to talk about before we go and look at the designs. Some flexibility exists to add additional features to these designs, but we really kind of want applicants to adhere to the basic designs that we've had. Minor modifications to approved designs are permitted, but must be funded by the applicant and approved by Commerce on a case-by-case basis. And to that point, things like the color of these buildings, and we would never force a community to have the same color of their high school rival as their community center, right? So things like that, definitely a lot of choices can be made, and maybe that's something we can discuss when we get into questions. The facilities can be designed to accommodate future additions, but these features cannot be included in the initial grant application. I would actually change that and say, if you're going to add additional features, that was something I did not correct. Tell us what those would be in the grant application, right, Tim? That's something we discussed. So, for example, if you want to add a pool slide after and you have a pool, just say after this, we plan to install a pool slide, something like that. All right. Eligible CDBG activities for this program. So this is kind of like what the CDBG dollars for this program can fund. Site-specific final design activities potentially, but that could also be done on the local side. The new construction of the 3 community center designs, that's really where all of our funding is slated to go towards. That includes your multi-purpose room, the space for a serving kitchen, room for a fitness center, lobby with a small gathering area and restrooms, storm shelters, solar panels are included in the estimated cost, and we'll show you those later. And then those durable, customizable exterior and interior finishes. So really just what we're trying to pay for with the CDBG funds is just the construction of these centers. And then what falls outside of that would have to be paid for locally. As you can see here, locally funded items, things that CDBG can't pay for just because of regulations, small kitchen equipment. So we can build you the kitchen, but the local side will have to buy the kitchen equipment, furniture for the interior, if you have a fitness center, workout equipment. And then parking lot improvements are generally eligible in CDBG, but due to the cost of this project, we would like to see those on the local side if they're needed. If you have a space where you can build the center where there's already existing parking, perfect. So yeah, and then one thing definitely not eligible, maintenance or operation costs, and then renovations to an existing community center. We have another category for that. So no renovating existing community centers for this program. All right. Yeah, one last thing I want to say about eligibility. Jason, can you pull over that Word doc? Yeah. We did a little bit of research on our end for communities that might be that are eligible, that we see as potentially good targets for this program. And we put together this list. If you're not on this list, it does not mean you're not eligible. But we're actually going to share this list. This was just a little bit of market research that we did. We'll share this list with everyone that's on the call too. And if you're on this list, you're in a good chance, or you're very close to being eligible for this program. So I would encourage any of you who are on any of this list who've joined us, please reach out to us. Again, I will send out the full Excel spreadsheet as well, separate from this, but we wanted some communities to know, hey, you're eligible for this and you got an opportunity here. So thank you, Jason. You can move on to phase 2 or the phase 1. All right. So now I will share those documents I put up there later, but I'll run through the phases that we've discussed or that are in our guidelines. So phase 1, the designs getting purchased by Commerce. So like I said, we did an RFP for design firms. We actually ran it twice. Hutton was the selected vendor, and we worked with Hutton to design standardized templates or prototypes intended to reduce local design costs and accelerate the project timeline for cities and counties who need construction funding for community centers. These, like I said, they can be tailored or they'll need to be tailored to that local area by local architects and engineers, and any modifications we'll take on a case-by-case basis. The designs and the prototypes that Hutton will be providing are about 50%, maybe a little bit more complete, and they cover architectural, structural, interior, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, systems, floor plans, site plans, exterior elevations, and some renderings. Good. Here's a breakdown of those facility options in table form. Again, we will share this with you at the end of this call. Like I said, when we started, we were looking for 3 designs, but Hutton, graciously, gave us 2 other options on there as well, with the two other options, one option each for medium and another option for large. The small doesn't have any other options because it doesn't have a basketball court or a pool. It's just a smaller community center. That second column there, ideal population, those are just ideal populations that we are suggesting. If for some reason there's a larger city that wants to get a small community center, or they're just over that 2,500, we could talk to them about how we could make that work as well. Total square foot, that's the total square foot of the building. The building footprint, that is what the amount of space we think the building will need. We also have a nice little, a nice column there that says the number of city lots, 135 by 25, that would be estimated to build one of these buildings. And as you can see, the bigger they get, the more expensive they get as well. We've also included some suggested parking information in there as well. Okay, so I'm going to share these designs. I'm not going to go in too much detail, but like walking through the pictures, because we will share these slides with you and you'll all be able to look over them in detail by yourselves and then reach out with questions. But this is, a rendering of the small community center for 2,500 people or less. This would not have a basketball court or a pool option, but still includes all of the really cool amenities that we discussed at the beginning in terms of having a door that opens to the outside, fitness center, built with sustainability in mind, built with lower operations costs in mind, solar panels on the top. And I think we do have a chart in here that shows you how much money you'll be saving with those solar panels. And that solar funding is included in those estimated costs. You can go next slide. Here is another angle of that small community center, which sort of shows you the design layout and what is included in the building costs. Yep. So moving on to, this is our medium community center. A little bit bigger than our small community center, but still has some of this pretty much the same features, just with a little bit larger rooms, like a little bit of the kitchen's a little bit bigger so you could serve more people. The fitness room's a little bit larger so you could have more people in there. The door that opens out is a little bit bigger. So it's just, there's a couple, essentially just making the regular amenities larger. But the other options you do get when we have a medium or a large project are, you have the option, and again, it does become more expensive, to add on either a gym or a pool. And Jason has the pool design up there. Again, the pool design and the gym design fit within the same footprint, so we don't have to look for different sizes of areas to put these buildings. If you want a large with a basketball court, it could be also a large with an aquatic center in it as well. Again, these additions will be cost more money, but the long term, with the new design, the long-term use of these buildings, this could be a really, really great boon to an area that maybe doesn't have an indoor basketball court, that doesn't have an indoor aquatic facility. I don't know how many counties all have those things available. So again, very similar to the amenities that we have in the small, just a little bit bigger, but with the options of a large, with a pool or with a basketball court. There's the basketball court. All right, large community center, similar to the small, similar to the medium. Large is going to be larger. The rooms will be a little bit bigger. You'll just have the option here, if you go to the next slide, to potentially add 2 basketball courts or 1 basketball court and 1 aquatic center within the same building footprint. As you notice, we're essentially just doubling the size of the gymnasium part of it for the large community center. And I think the other spaces are a little bit larger as well. But again, all the amenities you're going to get with a small, you're going to get with the medium, you're going to get with the large, except for the gym component or the pool component. All right. Here's an example site plan and what the size of these buildings look like within like some city blocks. Hutton shared this with us. I thought we would share it with you. Yeah, you can see here how much of a city block a large community center might take up, medium community center and a small community center. We would love to have this in a downtown area where there's already parking, where people can just walk by on the street and see people swimming in a pool potentially. We'll talk about this later, but certainly want areas that have access to utilities as part of our site selection. Yeah, you can go next slide. And here's this is some information. Again, you can look, people can look through this when we share the slides. Tells you about what is included with the solar option. The solar is already included in our estimated costs. If for some reason you didn't want to do it, I guess we could take that out. But in terms of sustainability, building maintenance, how much power you're using, love to get these as solar options included. Yeah. And then here also is an estimate of the cost for the solar per project. Again, that's included, and what you would save over the life of the system. And you all can review that at your leisure. So phase one was us developing the designs, and we just quickly went through the designs that we created with Hutton. Now phase two is project development side, and this is where the community kind of needs to take the lead and look at these designs and move the project forward. So I laid out a few key steps for communities. Could be in this order, could be in a different order, but here they are. Essentially, if you're interested in this program, certainly reach out to our staff as soon as you can. We've already spoken to a few people on this call. There is definite interest in this program. So pick a blueprint, select one of the 3 pre-approved designs to meet your local needs. Important considerations include available locations. Do you have space for this? The building footprint, desired features for community needs. Does this meet what we're proposing? And then population size or anticipated growth. We want to make sure that this building can be in that area for a long period of time and matches the needs of that area for a long period into the future. Once you've picked a blueprint, try to identify a site in your area. Must be eligible, accessible, and appropriate for new construction. Should be under ownership or control or under an option to purchase to ensure readiness. You all know your communities better than ours. You know where there's empty lots or vacant lots that are unused or buildings that don't need to be there. We really probably don't want to get into a moving someone who's already occupied a building kind of thing, because that opens up a can of worms in CDBG. So open spaces that can fit a building. Identify that space in your community. We actually went online to a couple of your communities and used Google Maps and potentially found some spots, but we're not going to tell you which communities those are unless you ask. One note, like if the project involves acquisition of land or buildings, the transaction needs to comply with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property, the URA Act of 1970. Let's just say that. So this is why you need to reach out to the CDBG team when you're getting started on pre-application or an application before an application. So we make sure that we're not running afoul of any CDBG rules around acquisition. But yeah, just reach out to the team. We'll help you with that. Step 3, obviously, one of the big steps. This could be step 1 or step 2 as well, but secure match funding. As I said, the minimum local match is going to have to be 50% just because of the cost of these projects. We encourage people to go out to, local foundations if they need support. We will, if the match dollars is such a big issue or is an issue, we would like to know about it too. So like I said at the beginning, send me an email, tell us like where you're at, and if we can help, maybe reach out to Coffin Foundation, Dan G. Hansen Foundation, any of the foundations that potentially could help, because we've spoken on the back end with a few foundations who know what we're doing. So if there's anything that we can do to help support you getting match funds. I know that's a big, it could be a big deal for this. Please reach out to us. Let us know about the project, so how we can find solutions to help. So once you've really once you've completed you've secured match funding, you have your site. Probably in there, I didn't add, but have a grant administrator. I might be a good thing. Secure a grant administrator. Then you're eligible to fill out our pre-application form. So all of our projects, not just Blueprint to Build, have pre-application forms for 2025 for the first time. It's a new process. Our staff loves it because we get to see a pre-application takes about 5 to 10 minutes to fill out, and it allows our staff to identify potential pitfalls or problems way ahead of the full application so that we can help the community. If it's a bad project, we'll just say, this isn't eligible. But if there's a way we can help the community there to make their application stronger, make sure we have all our T's crossed and our I's dotted. So it is a requirement. You will not go just to a full application for this. You will submit a pre-application, and then only pre-approved communities will be invited to submit full applications. Our pre-applications are pretty standard for all of our programs, except Blueprint to Build. We've included a few other questions in there. I put summarize them in a little list here. So on that pre-application, we're going to ask, we want you to know, will the size support the chosen design? What's the parking situation? What's the location like? Is it urban? Is it rural? Is it downtown? Is it walkable? Are there any alternative sites that you considered? Please let us know, or, if we could have any influence on that or input and you need it, we'll let you know. Ownership, who owns the land? Like we talked about acquisition, that can be an issue if ownership is not under control. Like I said, parking details on lots, zoning and restrictions, any barriers to community facility development of that space. Any known environmental concerns, please let us know. Any unusual site conditions, please let us know. Something that's not on there though, do you have the water or sewer kind of hookups available, or what's available in that sense? Okay. So once you submit that pre-application, you will receive a response from our team within 10 to 15 days saying, A, this project's not eligible, or B, this project's eligible, go for it, or C, this project's eligible, but we need you to make a couple of little tweaks. So that's the process on our end once you submit that pre-application. So once we approve a pre-application and you've made changes to your design as needed, or not your prototype design, but your application as needed, the community will be eligible to receive bridging document set from Hutton. We're calling what Hutton is providing to the communities a bridging document set. So if you hear that, that's what we're referring to. That will include all of those things I listed earlier, and DWG, AutoCAD, and PDF architectural drawings, along with a digital specifications book. The documents will be delivered through Hutton's secure cloud system and are intended to support the preparation of a PER/PAR. So with all of our community facility projects, we require a PER or PAR. So grant administrators are familiar with this process. I will note that the PER for this program is a little bit smaller and shorter, and there are less requirements than our standard community facilities programs due to the fact that Hutton has provided a lot of information up front with the prototypes. And we just wanted to tailor those questions and not make it too much work on the local community, and tailor those questions specifically to this project. So once you submit a full application, we will get it into our current review process, which is if whatever applications we receive by the 15th of the month, we will review at the end of that month and hopefully have an award within 30 days. So once you get to this full application process step, you're not too far away from getting your project approved if everything goes well with the application. So once you submit a full application, it's approved. Hutton will not perform any site-specific final design work or serve as the architect of record. Their role is limited to providing the standardized prototype materials and design intent guidance. Hutton will be available for cities who are awarded to serve as a consultant to make sure this process of transferring our 50% designs transferred to the new architect of record, to make sure this process runs smoothly and that they understand the design choices, why they made them, and could help if there are any modifications that need to be made. So Hutton will still be involved in the process as purely as a consultant, but not as the architect of record. The AOR who will be chosen, the city or county will procure a licensed architect of record using proper CDBG or local procurement procedures as applicable. The AOR will adapt the Hutton provided designs to local conditions, addressing topography, utility connections, fire codes, zoning, ADA compliance, and complete the final stamped and sealed construction documents. Once the design is finalized, the project is under contract and the CDBG environmental review is complete, the project may proceed to the bid phase using HUD compliant procurement methods. Is there anything we're missing there, Tim? What are you thinking?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
no, contract and environmental review, those are our big things.
Okay. Okay. At the last bullet point there, Jason, would you click on it? That's going to take you directly to our Blueprint to Build website or portal. Within this portal, scroll down. Within this portal, it tells you due dates. Scroll down a little bit. There's a button there where you can click on designs, where you can see the designs again. Stop right there. There's a pre-application form. Up. There's a pre-application form. There's a space to submit your pre-application form and review the pre-application questions before you submit it. Scroll down. We also have in the FAQs, if you ever want to pull up these blueprint designs, they are right there. If it works, click on one, see if it works. There you go. So this is all built into our page. Also, we have all of our contact information on these pages as well. If you need to reach out and ask us a specific question, all the way down at the bottom somewhere. Yep. So Ginny Erdley there. And right there under number 2, those are our Blueprint to Build guidelines. Please, I think we have to make one more upload of our revised ones. But those are where the guidelines will be, and it will cover a lot of what we covered in this PowerPoint today. So I just wanted everyone to be familiar with our website. Essentially, if you type in Kansas CDBG, our website's the first one that comes up, and you'll be able to select Blueprint to Build right on the list from your phone. Thank you. All right, what's next? All right, well, that sort of does wrap up our description of the phases, eligibility. So I will ask our friends from Hutton to join us here. And if anyone has a question for CDBG or Hutton about an idea that you have, Carl Pratt. Okay, first question. Yeah, please put the questions in the chat and we will start answering them. Carl Pratt, is this program, good to see you, Carl. Is this program separate from the other community centers, senior centers program, or in place of? It is separate. It is separate. And do you anticipate the program only being available this year? That's a tricky question. Right now, our due date is November 14th. If for some reason we still have some money available, we could have it for next year, potentially, but I wouldn't promise that. So it's really like, if we get 6 good applications, we're going to fund those 6. So if you're interested, reach out to us soon and let's at least have a conversation just to see what you guys have, to see what you have going on, Carl. All right? Any other questions? Question, county applications are eligible, correct? Can you pull up that sheet again? So county applications are eligible. The thing that comes up with county applications, scroll all the way down. Scroll all the way down. See, so for counties, so there are only 3 counties in the entire state that meet LMI, and they are Chautauqua, Lynn, and Riley. But there are a bunch of counties that are very close to that 51% who could survey their county, and then you'd be eligible for blueprint to build, water, sewer. You'd be eligible for a lot of different projects. So I would encourage any county who's, 45%, 40%, reach out to us and we'll have a discussion with you on whether it would be worth your while. But yes, counties are eligible. We're working with one county right now, hoping that they do complete a survey to become eligible. All right. Beth, hello, Beth. Is there any flexibility in choice of structural building materials? I will leave this to Hutton.
Yeah, right. Defer.
All right, just make sure you guys can hear us okay?
Yep. Thank you.
The short answer is yes. So obviously there's a couple things that will need to be considered. The free span for the gymnasium and the pool in the medium and large option will need to be considered. And then obviously building codes. So making sure it's non-combustible of some sort will be important. But whether it's a traditional steel package or maybe a pre-engineered package, or even concrete would be an option. We price conventional steel for the estimating purposes.
Yep. Right, thank you. Northwest counties or cities are likely to be eligible. Yes, there are Northwest counties. There are definitely Northwest cities that are eligible. I don't know if there is a North, unless Chautauqua. I don't know how far the west that is. We'll check. So Liz, we will send out at the conclusion of this, an Excel spreadsheet that lists all of the cities and counties in the state that could consider this project. And yes, there will be some from Northwest. So just because you're from North, I would love to build one of these in Northwest, it'd be my dream. So we'll send that around so you know which ones are eligible. Thank you. Okay, can the medium, okay, thanks. Can the medium design with a gym use the footprint but not create a gym? Can it be an expanded event space instead? Hutton.
It could be, it can be whatever you want that would fit within that space, but again, the design and the design intent of all of the systems and our materials are gymnasium based at this point in time, which would be what is included in the budget.
So there would have to be some significant modifications, you think, to the design?
For example, we have exposed ceilings in there and it's a very tall volume. A lot of event centers don't want quite that height. They're going to want a ceiling, some different lighting features, maybe some AV features that aren't going to be included in there. Those are the things that I can think of.
Yeah, but I do think that they could be multifunctional.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think you could do different athletic striping for other sports, for example. When I see the question as expanded event space, it depends on the event, but sure, it could be used for that, a large gathering area.
A small mobile stage, you can make it an auditorium pretty quickly.
Yeah, and while I've been presenting about this, I have had people ask me about pickleball courts. I have had people ask me about a theater space, but again, those would have to be some modifications we make as a group, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, pickleball court is just the way that you would lay out the striping for the flooring that we're using. Or whether or not you want it to be a taped stripe or a permanent stripe within the floor material that's already specified for in there.
Thank you. All right, Rosemary, on your LMI, I was testing you, Rosemary. On our LMI chart, we listed Merriam, Kansas. Aren't they in Johnson County? We'll double check that. If they are, then Johnson County would not be eligible. Yeah. So we'll double check that. Our list we send out will be corrected. Ooh, Interesting question. Would indoor turf fields be possible with the designs? I don't know how much of a change that would be. Hutton?
I'll jump in.
Yes, I believe it could be, it would be a modification to our design because our understanding is that would need to have a recess in the slab. It'd just be coordinating with the site and structural.
Yeah, just making sure we get ADA concerns addressed, obviously. And then the only other thing I would probably urge you to think about is that that would probably be a pretty permanent installation. So are you okay with that outcome?
No, good question. Carl, do you have more specific measurements for room sizes, et cetera, of the current designs? They might,
Those blueprints have.
they should be in those blueprints, right? Yeah, so once we share this PowerPoint, Carl, if you have any additional questions after you look at the PowerPoint, because we'll have some of that information in the slides. I just went through them fairly quickly today. Then if you have any follow-up questions, let us know. Right? Any other questions? Okay. Thanks. I would encourage people, if they have a thought in their head right now, maybe I should ask it, maybe I shouldn't, this is the time.
Other people might be wondering.
Other people are thinking the same thing. Are they designed to meet KSHSAA guidelines? Great question.
94.
We're currently showing a high school size 90-foot court. So
94.
yes, that would be correct.
Okay. Is there an option for storm shelter in these designs? Is the storm shelter included? Yes.
It's included in the design and the hardened space, is what we'll call it, is the restrooms in all three options.
Okay. Good question.
I know we had somebody, a community ask about adding an addition to the building post construction, basically. What would that look like for you guys at Hutton? What would you need to know about that if that's possible, or what would you need to know?
Yeah, a good question. I definitely think one of the things that seemed to be fitting of the vision, as you saw in some of the images that were showed in the slides, was maybe a urban kind of downtown setting. And so I would say the prototypes are designed to infill or sit on an urban downtown small Kansas street. If a site allows for building addition or expansion, great. If communities want to work on a case-by-case basis with the prototype to make it adaptable for some future addition or another gym or more pickleball courts or whatever it is.
Pickleball.
I think that's an easy thing to kind of resolve during what you were calling part two, where the community takes the lead in completing the design.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Matthew Rome, you mentioned no government. Does the city or county entity not maintain the facility? Yeah, so just to be clear, this is a CDBG rule. So there can be small offices in there for people that work at the community center. What you can't do at a new community center is have town hall meetings, city council meetings, what else? Yeah.
You shouldn't have offices of government administration,
Yeah.
general government administration, et cetera. That's what we're referring to.
Yeah, so, but yes, the people, the maintenance people that work there, yeah, they can have their space there, but not like the city clerk and all that stuff, yeah. Is demolition of an existing facility eligible? Well, you don't have it eligible for our cost, but we could.
It's certainly CDBG eligible.
Yeah.
I think we are trying to keep our CDBG money toward new construction. But I would think as part of a project, you certainly could demo an existing building, ideally vacant, Kim. Yes, I think that could be at least an eligible thing. Who's going to pay for it's the question.
Yeah, we know Pittsburgh's on that list.
Mhm.
Chris.
Yeah, Ms. Crystal.
Oh, sorry, Crystal.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have something for that last one?
Oh, no, I was gonna answer the one you're getting ready to go to.
Okay, let me read it. If a city has an architect on board to modify and to perform construction inspection, is the files easily transferable to them or will they need to redraw?
Yeah, that's a really great question. The big intent here, I know for the state, was to try and lower the hurdle for cities and communities to be able to obtain one of these community centers for their town. And so we've agreed to transfer digital data in the forms that were mentioned earlier. We'll give you a full PDF of our bridging documents, specifications, and the idea is that all design decisions are recorded on this bridging document set. And in addition, we can transfer DWG files, or we would also be willing to share a Revit file. And it's just a small document where we would exchange signatures on the exchange of that digital data to become their responsibility if they want to take that. But a state has used this in other projects previously, so I hope it wouldn't be foreign, but we are willing to share those files.
Yeah, and like I said, Hutton will be, for any project that we award for that full application, through a full application, Hutton will be available to us to help make sure this process and this transfer of data is smooth. Because again, we don't want to redraw. We want to get these projects done as efficiently as possible. Good question. Does an uncompleted, currently under construction building qualify? Probably not, unfortunately. Yeah, unless we were, yeah, probably not. Maybe for another one of our community facilities programs, but not for Blueprint to Build.
Yeah, the intent of this is to use these 3 designs that have already been completed by Hutton, so.
Okay. How far away, Carl, how far away from downtown is allowed? We might not have enough space downtown per se. However, we have a couple potential locations on the edge of town. Carl, you're out in the north central, northwest area of the state. We understand there aren't a lot of, tons of huge, vibrant downtowns out there. So yeah, we'd be amenable to looking at other options and, certainly we want it to be community driven too. So if your community knows the best spot, we want to hear about it. Rosemary, will Hutton do any inspection of the building during or at the end of construction to confer adherence?
All right, that's an excellent question. I would say in our ideal situation for the consultancy that we're going to be providing, we would be strategically involved during the design phases to complete the set of documents that are going to be constructed from. But if there's a community that desires kind of a midpoint checkup on what things are going on, happy to provide that. Every local jurisdiction is going to have some small code nuances and code things that come up that hopefully all of the big picture thinking and spirit of the design will be captured during the documentation phase. But we would be available for that if needed.
And I think Crystal's asking whether or not you guys would be the ones doing construction inspections as the project's going. And I would assume that would be the architect of record that would be doing that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah, great clarification. If it's to confer adherence to the design is what I was responding to. But to clarify, when you hire an AOR and an EOR of record, an architect of record to complete your project, they will be in attendance during construction to help oversee the constructability of what they put their architectural stamp on. We will not perform those duties.
Thank you. Hey, any additional questions? Still got 10 minutes.
These are great questions.
Yeah, these are great questions. So we'll
We'll have the chat transcript.
we'll get the transcript and we'll put this in a format where we can share it with everybody. And we'll get the Excel. All right. Give it another 30 seconds or so here, but if we don't have any more questions, for this call, and anyone who's on who has a follow-up question, like I said, we're having an office hours next Monday at 3 PM. You can jump in on those office hours to ask us any follow-up questions. Please go back. If you're interested, talk to your communities, talk to who you need to talk to. If you need to email us, please email us any questions or set up a call with us at any time. We're putting maximum effort into getting these built because we think it's just going to be a great thing for the state of Kansas to have these nice brand new designs in your communities for years to come. So please, if you think there's a roadblock, if you think the match is too much, let me know. Tell me what community you think's match is too much. All this data is good data to help me improve the program. Okay. One more question. Yeah, so just to be clear, you still need to hire an architect to inspect, to do pay apps. Yes, they're gonna have to finish. We have about 50% of the designs done. They're gonna have to finish the designs on the local side, and Hutton will be there as a consultant. And so once it gets to that point, Crystal, it kind of becomes like a standard CDBG project where you submit the PER with the application, we review it. So we keep that process, it'll kind of keep it more standard for people. Great question. Riley County is eligible, LMI, but Manhattan is not. Laura was asking, Riley County is eligible, but Manhattan isn't correct. Yes, if it's a city in the state of Kansas that has a college football team, it's probably not eligible. One of the big college football, the Division I college football teams, Manhattan, Lawrence, KCK, Wichita, but Sedgwick County around Wichita and Riley County around Manhattan are eligible. And Riley County does meet the LMI without having to do a survey. So we'd love to talk to Riley County.
Go get them there, Fun Hills.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, I would love to do one of these projects in each region of the state, Northeast, North Central, Northwest, Southwest, South Central. I mean, that would ideally be what we would do, but if you get an application in and you got your ducks in a row, you'll have a great chance of being funded for it. All right. Any other questions?
Thank you, Hutton.
All right. Thanks to Hutton, Josh and Katie. You all have been, I'll say this in front of everybody, you all have been really, really great to work with. And we really, really appreciate your flexibility on making this program a success. Again, if you think of a question after anyone, reach out to us with an email. We'll get you the slides and the recordings very soon. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.